expect the likes of Nuno Mendes to go toe-to-toe with Cole Palmer, Achraf Hakimi toe-to-toe with Pedro Neto, CUCURRELA toe-to-toe with DOUE, and REECE James going toe-to-toe with KVARATSKELIA when Chelsea meet Paris Saint-Germain in the finals of the Club World Cup today at the MetLife Stadium in New York in the United States of America, a game that USA President Donald Trump is expected to watch in person, as was confirmed by FIFA President Infantino. Chelsea faces Psg after defeating Fluminense 2-0, courtesy of 2 goals by their new £60 million signing from Brighton, JOAO Pedro, while Fabian LUIZ, the 20-year-old Spaniard midfielder, scored a brace in addition to the goals from Ousmane Dembele and Achraf Hakimi, and that saw Paris Saint-Germain defeat Spaniard giants Real Madrid 4-0 in the other encounter, and that set up a final between two young sides, Chelsea and Paris Saint-Germain. Paris Saint-Germain are at the moment the reigning champions of Europe. They won the Champions League of this year by beating Inter Milan 5-0, the biggest margin in the Champions League final ever. Chelsea, on the other side, are also champions of Europe, but on a lower level. They defeated Real Betis 4-1 in the Conference League. Chelsea will be without Romeo Lavia and Dario Esugo, 2 names that haven't featured really that much through this tournament, while Psg will be without Pancho and Lucas Hernandez, 2 players that were sent off against Bayern Munich and are serving their last game of the ban. Chelsea will be the underdogs in this game, of course, and we know how exactly they have come out in the past when they come into finals while they are underdogs. You cannot forget that 2012 final against Bayern Munich in the Allianz Arena that ended 1-1 during normal time, and Chelsea won 5-3 on penalties. The last penalty being taken by Didier Drogba, and the likes of Bastian Schweinsteiger missing their penalties. And also in 2021, you can recall that famous final against Manchester City in Porto, where Kai Havertz scored 1 goal, but which was enough to see Manchester City and Pep Guardiola lose that final. Today, there are no major injuries. Moises CAICEDO limped off in the Chelsea's semi-final, but he has been training really well. Probable lineup: Chelsea will start with, of course, Robert Sanchez, REECE James as their right back. LEVI COLWIL returns after missing the final, and TREVOR CHALOBAH has looked good throughout the tournament. On the left, CUCURRELA will be there. Moises CAICEDO will shield that defense, and then you have ENZO FERNANDEZ, and in my number 10 role, I think Chelsea should go with JOAO Pedro to match the physicality and the defensive work needed to counteract the likes of VITINHA, JOAO NEVES, and FABIAN LUIZ. On the right wing, I would expect Chelsea to put Cole Palmer there to pressurize Nuno Mendes and stop him from going up front. And then on the left, Pedro Neto to check on the speed of Achraf Hakimi. Up front, DELAP should play in that number 9 role. Paris Saint-Germain on the other side are expected as usual to start with Donnarumma in goal. Ashraf Hakimi, Pancho is suspended, so Beraldo would play with MARQUINHOS in the centre-back role. And then on the left, Portuguese and UEFA Nations League winner Nuno Mendes should play there. VITINHA, JOAO Neves, and FABIAN LUIZ will constitute that three-man midfield, while up front, Zade on the right, KVARATSKELIA on the left, and Ousmane Dembele through the middle should finalize the attack. Who to watch and which battles should each of these teams win if they are to come out as winners is what we are discussing next. Number one, Psg have only conceded one goal throughout this tournament. So Chelsea have got to go strong and they have to be clinical. They have got to use every single opportunity they get to score against Paris Saint-Germain. Should they fail, there will be no second chance. On the other edge, Robert Sanchez, who is fond of making errors, last season in the Premier League, he made 5 of them that led straight to goals, and that was the most of any person in the league. He should avoid any of that today. Then REECE James, after missing the semi-final, returns and he has a great work to do. KVARATSKELIA on that left wing is not a joke. Since arriving, Psg have looked really a different side in the Champions League and in any game they have played. Is very clinical and straight in his work. If, for instance, you compare him with the man they share the role in Bakola, KVARATSKELIA is very straight. And then Chelsea centre-backs in LEVI, COLWIL, and a partner he will play with. In this case, I'm suspecting TREVOR, CHALOBAH, should also be really so clinical. They shouldn't make any error. We watched the game Paris Saint-Germain played against Real Madrid, and the defense made loads of errors, and at the moment, I'm sure they are not proud of that. They were penalized seriously. They were 2 goals down before 10 minutes. You can't afford to do that against this electric Psg side. Moving away from that, Marc CUCURRELA, he has to find a balance between defending and then helping the team going up front or joining the midfield, depending on the kind of players Enzo Maresca will select. And then Moises CAICEDO, if there is any player that has to win Chelsea this game, Moises CAICEDO at least should not exceed the top 3. JOAO Neves, VITINHA, and FABIAN LUIZ can pressurize the midfields and the defense. You saw FABIAN LUIZ picking up those loose balls against Real Madrid. You should not allow any of that to happen. Enzo Fernandez and the number 10 Chelsea should be able to link up with Moises CAICEDO. We all know Enzo Fernandez is not as good defensively, for instance, compared to how good he is going forward. So you have to use a number 10 that is strong enough to help out when we don't have the ball. And that's why I initially suggested that Cole Palmer should be used as a right winger. I suggested JOAO Pedro for this role because we know he is fast and he is strong, plus at least for now we have seen he is technical enough. I personally would select him for this role, but Enzo Maresca might choose, for instance, to go with either REECE James in the midfield, then plays Malo Gusto as a right back, or using Christopher Nkunku, like the case has been for some games now in this tournament. So by having a stronger midfield, we should never allow having lower numbers in the midfield compared to what PSG have. So going to the left wing, Achraf Hakimi has been a problem for opponent teams. We need to use a very fast left back. In this case, I'm suggesting either JOAO Pedro or Pedro Neto to keep Achraf Hakimi checked, and knowing that once you overlap, you will be also penalized for it. You will pay a price for it. So I personally think we should use someone like Pedro Neto, who is fast and he has looked technical in this tournament, and also towards the end of the Premier League he has started to really deliver. And then I already talked about Cole Palmer, using him as a right winger. Of course, he looked not as productive in the semi-finals. He looked a bit lost and occupied, but we need him. We need him to keep Nuno Mendes thinking what might happen should he do his overlaps going into the midfield. And up front, Liam DELAP, I do not know so much about his clinical abilities, but I know we cannot afford to use Nicholas Jackson in this game. You need to utilize every single chance you get. And then when you talk about the place of PSG, the front three and the three midfielders following them, you saw that one forcing the Real Madrid defense to make errors. So I think for today we can avoid playing from the back. In the game against Fluminense, after we scored the second goal, you saw that on many occasions Enzo Maresca told Robert Sanchez to make a long ball and fight for it up front rather than having to play from the back. We will be penalized should we try risking playing the back against this electric PSG side. The other mistake I personally think we shouldn't make is allowing PSG to have so much of the ball. We shouldn't let PSG have so much possession. You can't just afford that. Even the best defensive team in the Premier League in Arsenal could not afford managing PSG when you let them to have the ball. They are young, they are fast, they are dynamic. You just can't afford to think what they are going to do next. I was listening to the press conference of the Paris Saint-Germain captain MARQUINHOS, and said the team that will have the most of the ball will win. They clearly show you what they are coming to do. Should you allow them to have the ball, you've already lost the game. And then another aspect of the game is to avoid conceding early goals. Arsenal conceded one goal in the 4th minute in their first tie against PSG, and it is the goal that eliminated them. When they went into the second leg, PSG just had to defend and then score a second goal. You're 2-0 down. You can't recover from that. Real Madrid conceded 2 goals before halftime, and the rest was history. You're just going to be praised. They will just have the freedom to do whatever they want. And then also sides conceding too early. I think we really have a stronger team that can present some resistance come 2 hours from now. So we hope for all the best in this game, and we want to win. Whether we are the best team in the world or not, we should be the best team on that day, and we can do it. We have really a strong side, a strong young side. PSG beat us in some aspect, like the quality of their goalkeeper. They have slightly some better experience in their squad, but we can really put up some good resistance come the 90 minutes or possibly the 120 minutes. Thank you for watching.